Hi, welcome to Success Factors. I'm your host, Brenda Siri, and I'm joined today by Becky Shaffer. She is the Executive Director of Saving Grace. Welcome to the show, Becky.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
It's great to have you here. I met you and your husband, Kent, in 2022 in Bentonville, Arkansas, when I was looking for a nonprofit to get involved with and help supporting. And your organization is just amazing. And the journey that brought you to found Saving Grace is really incredible. Could you share a little bit about your background and the passion that drove you to start Saving Grace?
Sure, absolutely. Well, I grew up, my story is very similar to the girls that we serve. And I grew up in just a violently abusive home and was taken away from my mother when I was 12 years old and placed in a children's home where I aged out. I thrived in the program that they had, but then when I aged out, I had to find a place to live. I couldn't go home. There was really no home to go to. My mother was homeless at the time. And so my husband and I met in college. We knew each other for a very short time and ended up getting married. And then afterwards, we hadn't been married very long, and we decided that we wanted to do childcare of some sort. He was in college. I was a stay-at-home mom with our little one. And we decided we wanted to go into childcare. And so we began fostering children at that time. So we were foster parents for about 18 years before we started Saving Grace. And then, to be honest, we mostly had all girls. We had boys and girls the very first year that we did this or fostered. And we, at the end of our time as foster parents, I began to see the same trend of girls leaving our home or the children's home that we worked for and floundering, just doing similar things that I did. I got pregnant when I was in college and just some things like that. So they were getting in trouble with the law, just not doing well, dropping out of school. And I was just like, what am I doing wrong here? Why am I not getting this right for these girls? And so when we'd been fostering for about 18 years, when I just probably more like about 16 years, when I began to really go, what can we do differently in our home? But then it was more like I realized that there needed to be something after. And so that's when the Lord really began to knit together this vision of doing this ministry called Saving Grace. And it's really about the girl Grace.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, where did the name Saving Grace come from?
Sure. It's a really sweet story because I wasn't sure. I called it Rebecca's Hope for a really long time. It was a file on my computer that said Rebecca's Hope. And that's what I thought I would call it. But Point of Grace came out with a song in about 2006 called Saving Grace. And it was really all about saving this girl Grace, being Jesus to her, coming alongside her. And it just opened up this like beautiful moment of, I knew exactly what we were going to call it at that point. Mm-hmm. And so Saving Grace is really all about saving the girl Grace. Okay. And we refer to her as Grace. Sometimes we use their real names with permission, but if we don't have very direct permission from them, even though they sign some things when they come in, and if they don't want to be a part of any of that, don't want their pictures used, we don't use them at all. We'll take group pictures and maybe they'll be looking off or kind of laughing or something. You can't really see their face because their head's down. And we're very careful to honor that with them. But for the most part, we call them Grace. And if they allow us, we'll use their real name.
Wow. So many people may not know that when a child ages out of foster care at 18, they have no further support, and that's where Saving Grace comes in. What type of support services are you offering, and what's the typical age range of those young ladies that you serve?
Sure. Well, just going back to what you said at first, so the government has changed some of the ways that they support children in care. And so they can actually stay in care, so to speak, until they're 21. They'll support them when they go to college and some things like that. But the support is not what you think of in support. It's mostly money. So they'll pay for their rent, help them get on food stamps, basically help them stay in the cycle they've been in for generations. And so Saving Grace does something different. And it took us a while. It took a lot of prayer, a lot of studying poverty, understanding it, that we began to go, you know what, we're going to do this different. We're not applying for any government funding at all. So when the government pulled all of their grants earlier this year or earlier last year, we weren't affected at all. In fact, we didn't know until afterwards that it had happened. And so the things that we do are more like what some people might call finishing school, which the younger crowd isn't going to know what that is, but we teach them everything from basic hygiene to home care, to auto care, all the things that, you know, cooking, cleaning, how to keep a house clean and their living quarters clean. That's all stuff they should have learned alongside their moms. But if you think about kids who grew up without a mom that drove a car, for example, they struggled to know how to drive. And it's actually interesting to take them on their first few practice driving, for them to practice driving, because it is a little bit scary. We usually pay for them to go to driving academy and learn, you know, with professionals, with a car that's safe and all of that. And then they can practice driving in our vehicles afterwards. And then we'll take them to get their driver's license. But most of the time, they're the first in 3 generations that ever had a driver's license.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So there are so many, and that's the other thing, is that there's so many first that they experience here. Driving, riding a bicycle, learning to swim, blowing out birthday candles on their birthday. Like, there are so many things that they missed in their childhood, and we do everything that we can to provide opportunities for them to embrace their childhood, because they really haven't ever been able to do that. We also require that they, when they first come to us, we require a pause. We want them to take a minute, get their bodies into a new rhythm of being awake during the day and sleeping at night. Because when you're homeless, it's safer to sleep in the day and be awake at night. And so that's important, that we get their bodies in a new rhythm. We get nourishment in them. They see a medical doctor, eye doctor, dentist. And sometimes that's first time they've ever been seen by a professional. We also connect them with a counselor. So they begin counseling almost as soon as they get into our program. We do equine assisted therapy for the most part. So that'll include a horse, a therapist, and the girl. And then once she's been in that phase for a little bit, she gets to move on to the next one. And so there's freshman through senior phases, bookended by what we call pink shirt, which is like red shirt in sports. And it really is a pause for them when they come into the program to get them out of survival. And then it's the other side of that is senior seminar.
You know, when you made the statement that some of them have never even blown out a birthday candle, it's just such a simple thing that we all take for granted. And I applaud you for thinking that deeply about what you can do to support these young women. That's incredible.
There are so many pieces of our program that are very intentional and very unique. One of those is our mentor program. So each girl is connected with 3 women who mentor for life when she comes into our program. And it's important to us that we get, you know, a community connection for her, so that when she leaves, those women go with her. So there are many times that they're there when they're getting married. They're there when they graduate from college. There's, you know, we had one girl that her mentors went with her when she left, and she graduated from college, became a teacher. They would set up her classroom with her and tear it down every year. She had a near fatal car accident and was ejected from her vehicle, and they went to the hospital while she was in ICU and stormed heaven on her behalf. And And then, and she survived. She's had a lot of issues since then, but they have never stopped mentoring her and loving her. She's now probably considered more like their daughter than anything else. They were there when she got married and when she adopted her first baby. I mean, so mentoring is a huge part of what we do. And then we can do some of the tactical things and the practical things in their lives. And then we encourage the mentors to do life and invite grace along.
I love that. When I took my first tour of Saving Grace, I was really so impressed by the services that you offered. Not only are these young women getting training for the real world, but they have responsibilities and they have to get jobs. How do you help them prepare for work if they've never had to work before?
Yeah, it really takes a lot of patience on the person hiring them. We are, and I'll share a little more later about our future plans, but one of the things that's in our future plans is a storefront of some sort. We kind of know what it's going to be, but it's really a place for Grace to learn to earn. When you've never worked, and most of the time in poverty, there's no father present. So you've never seen mom or dad or both get up and go to work every day and then come home and fix dinner and everybody go to bed. Like, there's no rhythm to their lives. A lot of people just don't do a lot during the day. And so getting them into a situation where they feel confident and comfortable working long hours. Like, for a lot of times they will get a job for their very first time ever. They get a little money in their pocket and they just want to give it all to their families. They think, oh my gosh, I worked 15 hours this week. That was such a long week. And it's like, okay, you do double that.
Right.
And so and helping them know too, a lot of them just want to work at a daycare or fast food. They have no idea the opportunities that are out there for them. We have one little girl that just graduated. She got her GED. She also graduated. She's a certified welder now, wow. And she's also certified in OSHA compliance. And so we're like, okay, you can come on the farm, but tone it down for us. And so just really, we want to make sure that they have opportunities and that really their life is like, these choices are more of a buffet, right? So they get to go and experience maybe home health care or nursing or whatever. What does it look like for you to be in the medical field? What does it look like for you to be a mechanic? I mean, there's just so many things and opportunities out there for them, other than the typical roles that you normally see women serving in. And so watching that happen is really beautiful, but helping them understand that when they don't show up for work because they just don't quite feel like it today, that most people don't call in sick more than once a year. I mean, that's so foreign to them. And so helping them understand when they don't show up for work, somebody else has to do their job and the job that that's normally theirs. So the person's filling the role that's their role, and then also stepping over and filling the gap that you left when you didn't show up for work today. Those are pieces that's really about experiences and education that's like done in real time that they learn by doing. And so those are just important things for us to make sure that she has the opportunity to really understand life and life in the middle class instead of in poverty.
Yeah. Really critical lessons that you're teaching them about being part of the workforce. So that first tour that I took was at a former convent based in Bentonville that you had converted into a living facility for the Young Ladies of Grace. But there was a lot of excitement and passion because you had just secured a new property. Can you tell our viewers about where Saving Grace is located today and why the new property was able to give you a new way to support these young ladies?
Sure. Well, we did a strategic plan back in 2016, and at that time we got about 110 applicants annually and had 12 spots. And it was important to us to really figure out, number one, was it feasible for us to scale up and do more, serve more girls, and could our community handle it? Like, will our donors back this? We knew we were going to have to grow the support, and so we did a feasibility study. We did multiple surveys, and decided that it was our responsibility to grow. And so we began in 2016 looking for land, and it was anywhere from 5 acres to 25 acres is what we were looking at, because we really wanted an opportunity for horses at the place we were going to grow. And we had people that wanted to give us land, 3 or 4 acres here or there. And it just was like, if we take this, we're not expanding. We're just moving what we're doing currently to another location. And so it was important for us to have, not be landlocked and be able to grow from that. And so we began looking. I trekked through tick-infested grass and, all the things with our realtor, who's amazing.
Yeah.
And I found the farm in 2020 and wasn't even really looking for the farm that we purchased. And I knew immediately when I got here, this was it. It was a $2.6 million purchase because we are very good stewards of the money that God has given to us through people in the community and the United States. We put $600,000 down and still have a $2 million note, but that's the only debt we have. So we had about a $2 million to $3 million project. And I should know the exact numbers, but we had to do all the site utility improvements. We had to put in a new road. We had to broaden our driveway. It's double what it was. There was just a lot that had to be done. We had to put fire hydrants in 3 different places on the property. And then, the electricity and water and all that had to be sustainable. And then, so we did that and renovated the first house, the one that had the rainbow over it that you showed just a minute ago. So that house basically was apples to apples what we were doing in Rogers. And now in Centerton, Arkansas, and our address is Bentonville, but we're in Centerton. We have them, we moved them all here in 2023 and then began renovations. We had to raise all the money first, right? And we then began last year doing the renovations on the house I'm currently sitting in. It was a 4-bedroom, 8,000 square foot house, and now it's a 10,000 square foot house that's 19 bedrooms.
Wow.
It's stunning. It's beautiful. The community came in, and not only did we have people show up and donate product like our, the windows and the doors and the insulation and all of those things. We had somebody actually do the renovation of our pool for pretty much nothing. He didn't charge us hardly anything. I don't even know that he charged us anything, to be honest. We had landscapers that came in that are a part of the HGTV show that's here called Fixer to Fabulous, and they came in and did the landscaping for us at almost no charge. And so with huge, huge blessings, but all of this is paid for. So this project in this house was $2 million plus. And God has just provided in ways that we could not even comprehend. We have wonderful partners that are business owners and then large corporations that also believe in the work we're doing. And not all of them do, because we're faith-based. And they, because we're faith-based, that puts a little bit of a barrier out there. But I'm telling you right now, we've never once had to pause or hesitate to do what we're doing at full throttle, because God has provided in such an incredible way through this community and beyond.
Yeah, and that really, speaks to what the community sees you doing and the belief that they have in what you and Kent have done for these young ladies in the area. So, good for you for, never being distracted away from your faith and, knowing that God has all of this in control for you, right?
Yeah.
Is there?
It's all to His glory.
Yes, it is. Is there ever a plan to support young men aging out of foster care?
That's such a great question, and one we're asked almost weekly around here. It's not that we don't want to do that. It's just that we really believe we need to get this part right before we expand to do that. Serving boys is going to look very different than serving girls.
Sure.
We do have a plan as far as future plans that will involve some tiny homes, office, so that our current office will be the counseling center and coaching center. So we won't just serve, and currently we serve about 60 people in the community, about quarterly, probably, on top of the girls that we serve. So a lot of single moms that we do counseling and coaching with. And they're so incredible. Oh my goodness. They show up and want more. They're just like, they're there to learn. They know they've got some things to do better in their lives to break cycles, and they are there to really do that. They want to heal so they don't reproduce what happened to them and the trauma and all of that. They don't reproduce that into their children's future, because what we don't reconcile in our past, we will reproduce it in our future. And so it's so important that people have opportunity to heal and get therapy and talk therapy, equine art, all those things. But we will do a storefront. We're going to call it the Steeple. It'll be a tea room, but not like the old kind of Victorian tea rooms. It's going to be a little more mid-century modern look about it. We want it to be a place where Grace can learn to earn. Behind that, we'll do a teaching kitchen, and then our offices and a meeting space, and then we'll do tiny homes after that. So we'll have 50 places in all when we finish up all the renovations and the capital campaign.
I love that. So how do your residents get selected?
Sure. That's a process. I always tell people we want them to have a lot of grit and a lot of curiosity. If they don't, they're not going to make it, because, it's a struggle for them. Because without those two things, it's hard. If they're not curious and want to learn something different, they just won't try. And so we'll get them in here and they'll just sit down and use us like a shelter. And so we're not, and we do have high expectations for them. And I don't think I mentioned earlier, like, they have to buy their own groceries. They have to have jobs. They have to provide all their hygiene and all that kind of stuff. We don't provide any of that for them. Eventually, we do it at the beginning, but eventually they have to do it. They're not allowed to be on any assistance from the government while they're in a program. And the only thing they do get to use as far as assistance would be medical care. And honestly, we're so thankful for that, because it was really difficult before that came to be into being. So, but we want to teach them a different way. And so you have to have grit and curiosity, because if it's so different, if you think about bringing somebody in from another country who doesn't understand the culture of America, poverty is its own culture, and middle class is its own culture, and the wealthy, the wealthy class is also a different culture. And there's hidden rules in there, and if you don't learn them, you can't stay in that class, if that makes sense. And so, there's a lot of layers that are the problems of why we're not doing our children in this country any favors. We're not doing them justice, and they deserve it. There was, I don't know if you saw in the news, there was a little boy that ran away recently, and his parents eventually got arrested for child abuse, and he's going to go into foster care. And, I go, okay, like, Lord, please let the people that he's moving in with have the capacity to really handle what he's going to bring. He's going to bring some stuff. Yeah. And he's 12 years old. And so he's starting to probably look a little bit more like a man than a boy. And our expectations are based on what we see. And so we're like, you're grown, you can't act like that. Well, trauma in a child's brain causes it to stop developing to a certain degree. And all of their coping mechanisms are what they learned up to the point of where that trauma began. And so they act like a 3 or a 9-year-old, and it's a real struggle for them. And so we want to make sure that we do that well here. But I think about these kids that are in the system right now, even the kids in California. I don't remember the story where the mom was calling them it, and it was there was a ton of kids, and the children were taken away. The parents went to prison. But then those children got put in foster care homes. They all got abused. Like, the people that they lived with went to jail because of the abuse. And so, like, our system in this country is jacked up, and our children are our most precious commodity. Right. we are treating them like yesterday's trash. And something has got to change.
Right.
We've got to do things different. And I'm telling you right now, it is not going to be the government that makes the changes. I'm thankful that we have, certain things, laws and things like that in place for our country, policies and such. But when it comes to human beings, no policy is going to change the outcome for a child.
Right.
It's just not.
Right.
Keeping them in the system till they're 21 and paying for everything, teaching them to continue with their handout is not going to do anything for them when they turn 22. They're still going to have all of the same coping mechanisms. It's still going to be riddled with trauma. Children are starting school that are in foster care and nobody's walking through the doors. I mean, some people are. There's some good people that are fostering, and I need to make sure that I make that clear. There's I know some incredible foster parents that might as well be their biological parents because they treat those kids like their own.
Right.
It's beautiful. But for the most part, when they turn 18 and the foster parents don't get any more money for them, they want them out of their house. But also, if you have an 18-year-old and a 13-year-old or a 17 and a 13-year-old, when the 17 turns 18, they have to have their own room because they're considered an adult now, so they can't room with a 13-year-old. It's just really jacked up. And it's not well thought out. Mm-hmm. And they need to go back to the why foster care existed in the first place and revamp the whole thing. That's just my opinion.
I think it's a good opinion.
Yeah. So someday maybe we'll do something for boys. At this point, we don't have a plan for that in the near future.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you this, Brenda, one thing that we do that probably is new really since you first met us. In June, we do something called Grace Collaborative. It's a 3-day conference that we put on. We invite speakers from other parts of the country to come in and speak into leadership, speak into, self-care and soul care, speak into poverty and how to help people escape poverty. One of our goals is to change the narrative surrounding poverty. We just feel like there's just so many, we don't understand. Most people that are trying to help the poor just want to give them money. They want to do little food pantries. And, around here, the little food pantries can't keep them full. And who's getting all that food? It's not being spread out for everyone. And when you go to national parks, they have signs everywhere. Don't feed the bears, like don't feed the wildlife.
Right.
But in our country, we are more prone to feed the bears than we are to actually teach them a different way. And they don't know. We're expecting them to know how to share. We're expecting them to know how to budget.
Right.
We're expecting them to know how to work. They just don't know. They're not bad people. They just don't know.
Yeah.
And so our goal in Grace Collaborative, people ask us every year to share our program model on what we're doing here. And we share that so openly and so generously. And we charge a little bit for them to come to the conference because if you don't have any skin in the game, people just don't show up. Life happens and they're like, sorry, I can't come. I thought I could. And so we charge a little bit, and we have people that have come back and they're repeat attenders every year. And then we have new people that come every year and people that are not doing what we're doing, but they just want to get it right in the side of running a nonprofit organization. My husband, Kent, calls our ministry here a businessry. So we're a business and a ministry. And it's so important that you run both of those correctly, with the same passion and integrity that you do the other.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
I know you talked a little bit about the upcoming tea room and the small houses, but are there other things, that you're excited about when you think about the future of Saving Grace?
Sure. I'm excited about having 29 girls on this property, just with what we have right now, compared to 12 or 11. I'm excited that we have a team that is so intentional about what we put in front of these girls. They don't do anything lightly or haphazardly. They are intentional. They look at life skills and go back and ask some of our alumni, like, what were the life skills that you benefited from when you were in our program? And oftentimes, which is so funny, they always hate our financial classes, absolutely hate them. And they don't act super sweet about it either. They're pretty verbal. But the number one class that our alumni say that was the best and most beneficial, and the one that they go to first after they leave, is the finance classes. They all leave with a binder of all the information, all the resources, all the people they can call for a little more coaching. And they do. That excites me. It excites me that girls are not going to be on the streets, and neither will their kiddos aren't going to go into foster care. That the cycle is going to be broken with them, and watching the amount of people that show up for these girls, and really it's girls they've never even met, that excites me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't think I asked this question, but I just thought of it, and that is, what's the typical amount of time someone stays at Grace,
Sure.
and gets everything that you're giving them?
Sure. So at Saving Grace, we often say we're going to take the time it takes because it takes less time. In programs like ours across the nation, they are anywhere from 9 to 18 months is what the typical expectation is for staying. Like you once your 9-month program is over, then you leave, or your 18-month or whatever. And so we have an old cowboy that we loved for a really long time who shows up for us a lot in different ways. And he always says, when you're training a horse, you got to take the time it takes because it takes less time. And so it's the same way with humans. So we don't have a limit on how long they can stay. We want to really, truly take the time it takes because for them, we want them to launch in such a strong and beautiful way. So, we have girls that come to us that are from disrupted adoptions. There's just a lot of trauma within that all by itself. It's not that anybody's done anything wrong. It's just trauma and it's not been healed. And so we want to make sure that they have the time they need to actually heal and then launch well. And so for some of them, it's usually 2 to 4 years, honestly. Every once in a while, we'll have somebody that's a little over 4 years, but for the most part, it takes 2 to 4 years for a girl to complete our program.
Well,
and then when they graduate,
yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Oh,
when they graduate, we throw a big party and a big shower for them, and they are able to fill out like a wish list or like a wedding registry. And they get, and the community shows up. Again, this is from all over the country. People buy them gifts that are on their wish list. So they don't want for anything. They pick out their own dishes. It's precious. And then we pay their first month's rent, utility deposits. And then they have to do a savings account while they're in our program. And not only do they have to do a savings account, they have to use it. So when they go buy a car, they're going to use some of their savings for making sure they get their tags and all that kind of stuff done. If they need new tires, they're going to just pull the money from their savings, get the tires, and then build that savings back up. That's important. That's an exercise and a muscle that has to be built, right? So when they leave, when they finish our program, they have to have $2,000 in their savings, and then we match it. So they can leave with $4,000 in their savings account.
Wow. That's amazing. I'm sure you have some really wonderful supporters there in Bentonville, but if someone's watching today who's not located in your area, but wants to help, I mean, Becky, your story is so compelling and what you're doing is amazing. So what's the best way they can do that?
Sure. You can go to savinggracenwa.org. And I think it's important to know that we are Saving Grace NWA. There are other Saving Graces out there. We're not the only one, but we are the only one with NWA Northwest Arkansas at the end of our name. And so you can give online, you can mail a check, you can pray. We need prayer. I mean, honestly, prayer is such a powerful thing, and our girls are doing something that is so hard and so foreign to them. We want their hearts to be open for learning, and we want them to have courage and grit to try new things. And we want them to have their hearts to have peace and to find healing. And so, really healing only comes through Jesus of our heart wounds. There's really not medication for that.
Right.
And so we want them to have an opportunity to heal, but they have to be open to it. And we are very careful. We are faith-based, but we are very careful. These girls have come through from homes that have been religious and abusive. And so their thoughts toward faith or anything to do with the Lord sometimes is very closed off, and they're angry, and rightly so. They have not been treated well by believers. And so we're very gentle. We believe Jesus is like the ultimate gentleman. And so we are very careful about that. But prayer is huge for us. Support is wonderful. Honestly, one of our greatest needs financially is monthly support. And so as we've expanded, monthly support sustains an organization. And so you can lose 1 or 2, 5, whatever monthly supporters and not be hit so hard as if you have a large donor that, or a grant that you have depended on for a long time, is pulled because they decided that they're going to go a different direction with their foundation or whatever. And that's happened to us. That's happened where large donors have gotten, curious about other organizations or another startup, and they're like, "Oh, we want to support them. You seem to be doing well." So monthly support is huge for us. And we have people that give. I think our average gift is like $37 a month, and that is just the sweetest thing. That we have people that have supported us for 10, 15 years at that level of support is really precious to us.
Yeah, absolutely. Becky, I love Saving Grace and what you and Kent are doing, and I am so honored. It's been such a pleasure to have you on the show today. I wish you and Kent and all of the women of Grace, a very blessed year ahead. And I really appreciate you sharing your personal story and, really the story of why Saving Grace came to be. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Brenda. I appreciate you.
You bet. And that's it for Success Factors today. We'll see you next time. Bye.